Okay, for this next one, what do we got in store? So I went out and I decided I was gonna use Charles Moore's Morehouse as my counterpoint pavilion response. So there's my case study, and this is my counterpoint. And again, I was using geometry and kind of negative space as a part of exploration, and it's got rectangles and columns, so we'll call it a fair response. In any case, it gave me, and just for those of you who care, this is the project. Really cool architect, actually. Our Brian McKay Lyons is one of the great architects that we have from the school. Worked for Charles Moore briefly, and this is a sort of famous building of his. Really lovely watercolor there. In any case, neat project, but we will just be using it for these purposes. So back to the template here. I'll be doing basically the same stuff I've been doing. Move this guy out of the way. Oh, that should be a shift to move him out of the way. And I'll flip over to the Illustrator file. I'll just show you something briefly. So you can see here, I made a new artboard, and all I basically did to do that was I said File, Document Setup, Edit Artboards, and then you get this interface. I think we looked at this in class, and I can say Control Copy, and I'll just accept that. It kind of messes with your layers a little bit, so if you're really trying to stay organized with those, you'll have to work with that. I thought I just copied and pasted that artboard. Did I? Try that again. So I'm going to select this, Control C, and say OK. And I'll say Control V. Yeah, there it is. So now I have 4 artboards. Yeah, it was just telling me, there's some information locked there that didn't transfer. Oof. I'll pick that and just move that over. So you can kind of play around with that. But what that let me do then was I went in and I did the similar stuff with the masking or the compound path and the lines, and I just used the same settings, called it the same sort of setup. And now what you'll see here, oh no, that worked out. Interesting. I did a little funny thing with I thought the plan in the section were off from one to the other, but I think I took care of that here. Yeah, okay. The Charles Moore, or the original image, what I'm saying is if you look at the original image that I took it from, see how that is the section above and the plan below. I used a clipping mask. So if I release clipping mask, I use a clipping mask to flip those guys. So this is repeated twice and just clipped to get that alignment. And I use some guides to do all that. So there's a good correspondence between the pavilion case study and then the pavilion response. All right, counterpoint case study. So many C's and P's. What are you going to do? So then we'll go back to here. So again, similar process. It is a PNG, Control D. Place here, you see the rhythm here that we're starting, and similar concept. Once I get this in, I can update things and it'll automatically update. So here again, I'm going to scale this down proportionally, holding down the Shift and Control key. Now one of the things I'm going to do here is I remember that I butted the roster image right against that margin there. I'm going to bring this guy up. So I'm going to try and mimic, to the best of my ability, the layout above. But you'll see here, I'm going to zoom out, hit W, hit W. If you look there, you see how this is, because this is a wider building, you're getting the red kind of hanging out here in the middle. And then as I scan down, it's a little odd, you know, that the red then steps in a bit here. So I want to kind of align with that a little bit better. So I'm going to turn my grids back on. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up. So I can see that that red is roughly along that column there. So similar to how I flipped these guys for the plan and section, I'm going to say Control C, Control V. So now I have two copies of this. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, I think it's Alt Control Shift, I get all my fingers on here, Alt Control Shift V. And that's pasted it right in the exact same place. So now I'm going to take one bar here, and I'm going to crop this guy down. I'm going to crop him down a bit more because you can see there's a little bit of a bump there. I didn't get it super clean before. So it's not going to be obvious because it looks like it's still the full image, but now I'm going to take this bar here from the other side, and now this is that same image but split. And so now I can hold my shift key down and I can drag this guy. I'm going to bring that over so I can see when I drag. I'm going to just drag that over to about that area there. I'll zoom out again. I'll hit W so I can kind of just see visually. And yeah, look at that. It's a little more balanced. I could even, if I want to try and see how it flows, I'm kind of, I guess, aligning the center line a bit more. So there's a center line kind of cascades down there a bit. All right, so as I scroll down, there's a bit of consistency there. I'm not too worried about this. I could do other things with this. I'm not trying to get that to be like that. But these two, it's nice to have them speaking to each other. Okay. And then we'll wrap up with the visual narrative options. A couple of them.